And now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present to you, recording from an undisclosed location in Oakdale, Connecticut, it's Chris Burns, it's Chris Lynch, this is Dysfunction Junction.
This is the part where you talk.
I didn't hear the music.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, you had that problem last week.
No, that was Marsh.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
It played.
Okay. Well, welcome to Dysfunction Junction, folks. Other than
Fuck
the
yeah.
minor,
Fuck yeah.
other than the minor, this old fuck can't hear shit. I don't know what happens. Sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. Same thing with Marsh. Sometimes he hears it, sometimes we don't. Over my head here, I got these two folks. I got Mr. Burns, who's not quite at 100% today. He's feeling a little under the weather. And up here from Poopole, Colorado, the producer with the most, Big Herm. Welcome to the show.
What's up?
It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely beautiful weather out here in Connecticut. I don't know what's going on out in Herm's neck of the woods, but it was a beautiful day. Beautiful day yesterday. Took a walk through Newport, saw the elephants. Took a cliff walk through the
My
through
mom
the
was
Newport. There. Yeah, rolling around, rolling thunder, 400 pounds of her.
Wooden elephants.
Now it's just this weird exhibit that they had in Newport in the backyards of the mansions, where they built elephants out of sticks that were built by it was an invasive species of some sort. I don't know. My wife wanted to go see him. It was the last something like that. My wife wanted to see him. It was a nice day. We took a walk through the Breakers mansion, my summer home, to see how the rich white folk lived during the Gilded Age. Holy fucking shit! If you ever have an afternoon on a Sunday or a Saturday and you want to go see some really crazy houses, I recommend the Newport Mansion tour. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's cheap. It's a good day out of the house, and you get to learn a little bit of history about this part of the country.
I've never taken a walking tour, but I've driven through. There are some beautiful places out there.
Chris, I think you'd enjoy it. It gives you a lot of the history of the Vanderbilts, and just how they built their empire, and just how much money they had. All right, so
a bunch of rich white people made a shitload of money off of the backs of broke people for pennies, and everybody's proud because they built massive shit with it. I'm just saying.
I have no problem with that. I have no problem.
That's basically all right.
History,
that's here's your history lesson, folks.
There's a whole bunch of other shit that goes along with that, but basically they fucked over their labor and created a dynasty.
I have no problem with that.
So to put how rich these motherfuckers were in the late 1800s during the Gilded Age, they took $100 million investment and turned it into $200 million before the turn of the 1900s. $200 million in 1873 money.
Yeah, it was like $1.2 billion today. It's
no, dude. It's $62 billion.
Yeah, like what was it? One of those guys was like having trouble getting shit done and having trouble with the railroads, so he just bought all of them. Like one of them, it was one of those Vanderbilts or something with the oil, which whoever that was, I forget who it was.
The Vanderbilts got into cahoots with J.P. Morgan, who was a big time banker, and he turned their money into a whole a lot more money because the railroads were going by the wayside because of the dawn of the automobile. It's basically the short version of the story. But anyway, we're not here to talk about history lessons. We're here to talk about things that we find overrated. TV shows, movies,
life,
whatever you want to throw at it.
Life is overrated.
Life is overrated. They lied to us as children.
We were originally going to stick to movies, but then I asked, hey, can I throw a couple TV shows in there? Because there's a lot of TV that I think is completely overrated.
I was fine because as soon as you said it, I came up with 5 of my own.
I do. My list is like
I don't have a list specifically. I want to see where you guys are going with it. I kind of have some ideas as to what I'm thinking, but I think with TV, you've also got to include nowadays, because I think they go hand in hand, is is just series.
Yeah, in general.
You know what I mean? Like, because we come from a generation where TV is TV and then everything else is not TV.
Right.
But that's not how it is today. Like my TV is just like cable and works the same way, but it's YouTube TV.
Yeah,
So it's
I have
TV, but it's streaming.
all of my choices are series as far as the TV shows go. I didn't want to go with like one-offs. Like, nobody gives a fuck about the Star Wars Christmas special from 1977. Whatever, however
not
you
gonna lie.
view that.
The little Wookiee was the best part of that whole fucking show.
Right. And however you see these shows, Lynch said it perfectly. These are our opinions. And I told her in pre-production, I says, I got one on my list that I know Lynch is going to want to reach through and choke me for. But guess what? That's my opinion. And we just walk forward. It's not like we're arguing politics where someone's going to go, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. No, he might say fuck you because he may like these particular shows on TV, but I don't. And it's my list. And Lynch's list is Lynch's list.
Well, and I have a couple movies on here that people will be, one of which specifically will piss anybody off who's a big fan of it.
Okay.
Again, it's subjective opinion. I mean, I find certain things more interesting than others, and some things I just can't get into. Or they're good, but do they deserve that kind of praise? Maybe not. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So I don't know who wants to. I don't know who wants to start off. Maybe Chris, if you want to get one of yours knocked off the list, we can start with you.
Sure. Which one do you want me to do first, movies or television?
We can start with TV.
Okay. These are the 5 shows I find to be the most overrated. They are in a particular order because I put them in this order. That's about it. That's why they're in this order. Number 5, it's a show where I think the parts are better than the sum. I went with The Big Bang Theory. Not a fan. I don't see the humor in it. I don't see why it's one of the biggest, most successful shows of all time. When you separate the parts, each character is funny in their own way. You put them together, it's all that mumbo jumbo scientific horseshit that I can't get into that takes me right out of the show.
See, that's what keeps me right in the show is I understand a shitload of that.
No, there's nothing wrong.
Especially like the general, like not the quantum shit, but the more of the straight physics shit.
Yeah, that I get, but all that goofy, crazy stuff. I'm like, dude, you just took me right out of it. I was starting to enjoy this and maybe not think it's overrated. And then you just went down that rabbit hole and lost me. But I don't think it hurts them because they're one of the biggest freaking shows of all time. They're syndicated on every fucking channel. There's not a TV set in America that doesn't have it playing at least once a day. It's a lot like Journey. No matter what, you can turn your dial, sit for 1 hour. You turn your dial, you're going to hit a Journey song. That's what The Big Bang Theory is to television. It's the new Everybody Loves Raymond, except Everybody Loves Raymond was fucking funny.
Right. And to reinforce your point, I think now I never watched the spinoff show until it ended, which is Young Sheldon. I think that is infinitely more. I love that show. I think that's a much better show as far as telling his story.
Well,
like you said, it's the parts.
It is, but then you've got people like me who watched The Big Bang Theory, and we have questions, and a lot of things get questioned, or rather, a lot of questions get answered in Young Sheldon, while there's also points in the series where there's certain things that happen and we're getting the backstory. So for me, it's depth of character of the show that I watched, because you'll remember and there'll be a reference, and sometimes there's references to shit where, but it would be much later and many years later before I realized, and I know what show and what episode they're talking about.
And that's why I'm enjoying Young Sheldon, because the shit that they said in The Big Bang Theory back in season 4 or 5, they kind of go over that as to why he is the way he is. And there's some heartbreaking shit towards the end of that show, young Sheldon, from what I understand. And even in the beginning of the series, the first few seasons, it's really good. I like that better than the Big Bang. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I
And I
mean, well,
think that
towards the end of that show, everybody was getting older. The father passes away.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Young,
yeah.
so there's all a
And
bunch of shit there.
Yeah, I unfortunately have been. I got that spoiled. Well, he knew he was going to die, but I saw the episode where that happens, and it's a pretty sad episode. But anyway, Chris, back to your list.
All right. My 4 and 3, I have a caveat in both of them, and it is every season after the second season, because these two, my number 4 and my number 3, are amazing the first 2 seasons, then it all fell to hell. Number 4 is The Walking Dead. I think it's overrated. I think, when the zombie craze hit, Walking Dead, rightfully so, capitalized on it. They put out compelling television. This was, shit stopped when this show came on. And then after the second season, how many more times are you going to have to go through the same bullshit?
Well, I mean, they're still doing it. What is it? An AMC, the Book of Daryl Dixon, and
yeah. And they had so many spinoffs.
They're on their third horse, and it's dead, and they're still beating it, bro. I've never watched a full episode of The Walking Dead ever. Not one series, not any of them.
I watched the first. I'm with Chris. I watched the first 2 seasons and I stopped.
I can barely tolerate a zombie movie in general.
Right.
I liked 28 Days Later.
Mm-hmm.
28 Weeks Later sucked.
Yeah, wasn't as good.
Yeah, I'd never understood the zombie thing at all. That whole craze, but I would have to totally agree with you. That whole series was, yes.
Mm-hmm. But again, the storytelling in the first 2 seasons, to go back to Lynch's point, was just so tight, and it led to something. And then after the second season, I think they were in that megadome bunker thing, and they kill the head zombie. I'm like, well, this show's over. But they came back with another season. I watched that first one. I'm like, nope, you are, how they say, jumping the shark. You're never getting it back.
Oh, see, had that been a 2 or 3 season, short limited series, I think they would have been great. But the problem with the Walking Dead was when they introduced
37 seasons.
Negan became a very, very popular character, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan was going to fuck that puppy until it exploded to stay on the show and be relevant. And then once they started sprouting off into like what happened beforehand and this character storyline, I don't give a fuck about Daryl. I really don't. Yeah. What I saw in the first 2 to 3 seasons of that show told me everything I need to know about all these characters. Yeah. It should have been an encapsulated 2 to 3 season series. It would have been great. Ended on a high note.
Right. I don't know if either of you ever watched that series, The Outsiders. It ran for 2 seasons. But as you kill off the main characters, Asa's gone, Big Foster's gone, Little Foster's gone. The 3 main characters are gone.
That this has to wrap up.
The Sacred Mother is dead. There's no way they could have gone with a 3rd season. The way they ended it was perfect. Was I upset when it stopped? Yeah, but then again, I looked at it like we're all here about The Walking Dead. Where could they have gone?
Be able to see that show anymore and enjoy it. Yeah. Not upset with the way they pulled it together at the end,
because there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to go, and
the writers didn't go. You know what? Fuck them. We'll just bring someone back to life. And, all of those hokey, all the shit that she in what is it? Kathy Bates and what's the show? Miserable.
I'm not sure.
He crashes in the snow. She puts him in the bed. He's in the bed.
Misery.
He's in a wheelchair. Misery. Thank you. Same thing. No, you can't. We ended the last one. She was dead. You've got to write it from there. You can't just, there was a hoax.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that thing. They
I feel as if, and you guys, Herm has probably seen this more than Lynch has, but I'm sure Lynch has seen it. That Guy Fieri show where they spin the 3 wheels and you get the 3 ingredients that you have to work with. I think that's what The Walking Dead is doing now. They're spinning the 3 wheels, and whatever comes up, that's what the next episode's about.
Fucking bugs. Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there who are going to say, "How dare you?" and this and that. Look, the first 2 seasons, untouchable. Everything after that, it's a fart in church. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like the writer's room, everybody does a big fat rail, they spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, that's what they write this week. I would agree. They're just they're pulling teeth here.
You can't do this shit on the Quentin Tarantino diet. You cannot.
No.
Not episodic television. You want a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie, Quentin Tarantino's your guy. You want to make a series.
Right. It happens, it's over, it's done. It's not.
You can't out Quentin.
Shit.
Right. What's yours, Lynch?
My number 5.
Your number 4. You already did number 5, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you want me to just continue with my list?
Yeah. Continue with your list.
All right. Number 3. I'm sure this is a favorite in a couple of your households. Grey's Anatomy. First 2 seasons, stellar. Everything after that, hot garbage. I stopped watching after a while.
So
it was a fantastic fucking show.
I only watched that show because my wife started binge watching it, and I caught it.
That's the only reason I started watching it.
I caught it like season 3. So then I went back and started rewatching it. The first 4 or 5 seasons was really good. Not a fan of Katherine Heigl, but I tolerated her in that show. She was good in that show because she's a bitch and she portrayed a really good bitch. She was true to herself, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I just stopped. I lost interest, because it's still fucking on, dude. It's like 23 seasons. 23 seasons.
ER didn't even last that long, and at least they kept it compelling.
Right. Well,
tried to anyway.
The only time I see that is, she's watching something, or it's usually it's on syndication channel, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. But another one that just fell off and just kept falling over after season 2, my opinion. Number 2, I tried going back to watch this when this hit syndication in the early 90s on TNT. There might be 12 good episodes in the 9-year run, but Dallas absolutely sucks. It is overrated. How many?
Oh yeah,
how many
in any decade but the 80s, that it's horrible.
But I watched some of those in the 80s with Mom because Mom was and is a big fan of Dallas. She even liked the reboot later on with some of the original characters, and I just don't. It's a lot like my number 1. They're all fucking each other. They're all mad at each other for some reason. They all come back to each other for some reason, and they're all filthy rich. Except my number 1, nobody's filthy rich, but they're all fucking each other, and they're all up their elbow deep into everybody else's business. Dallas, to me, I mean, if you were a 30 to 40-year-old person in the 80s, you loved that show. I tried. Can't do it. And number 1, send your hate mail to cburns19@gmail.com because I don't rightly give a fuck. If you like Friends, you suck. Friends is the dumbest show in the history of shows, in my opinion. There are funny moments. It is not a funny show. It is everything wrong with the 90s, in my opinion, when it comes to television.
Well, it's totally unrealistic.
Correct.
I mean, I living in an apartment that big in Manhattan, absolutely fucking not. I mean,
yeah, one works at a coffee shop, the other one's a broke musician, and the only one that has a steady good job is Schwimmer, whatever his name was on the show.
And Chandler.
What did he do?
He was a transponder. No, he worked for the first 4 or 5 seasons. He had a job. They just didn't really tell you what it was, but he went to work every day.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump, since that was your number 1, I'm going to jump right into my TV because number 5 on my list is Friends.
Nice.
While I did watch it again because she was watching it, I have to agree with you. There were a handful of episodes that are really, really funny. The 2 best characters on that show were probably Chandler and Phoebe to me. Chandler because I could relate to him with what his outlook on life was and just how sarcastic he was, because I'm just as sarcastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoebe is just like every ditzy girl I ever knew growing up, and she was funny. She looked at life and the world through these rose tinted glasses, didn't really see the evil in anybody, and everybody was good, a good person, until it turned around and bit her on the ass.
Yeah. I was taking a nap one
people,
day.
I've known people like that in my life.
Oh, absolutely. I was taking a nap one day and I woke up and Friends was on because I left it on the channel it was playing on. And Joey, I think it is getting interviewed for a magazine, and they're all around him like they're somehow part of this interview. And you mentioned Phoebe. She mentions how Joey's just a really nice guy, and she'll practice lines with him and this and that. She goes, "Okay, Phoebe, can you spell your name for me so I could print it?" She goes, "Yeah, it's Phoebe. P is in Phoebe, H is in Hebe, O is in Obi." And I'm like, this is the dumbest fucking attempt at humor I've ever heard.
But we all knew
But I
that
remembered
girl.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
What happened?
With you? It's you knew that girl. You
Oh, yeah.
knew that girl in your life.
I may or may
That's
not
the thing.
dated
You
that
remember
girl.
those. You remember those stupid things. So they didn't write great comedy. They just wrote memorable lines, shit that would stick. And
Yeah.
a lot of the TV in the '90s was like that. Seinfeld is also on my list. That's number 4.
Really? Wow.
Number 4. While Seinfeld is a good comedy, towards about right after they started doing their show within a show, it kind of went off the rails for me. It went from just a show about nothing, about Jerry's life, to more of an absurdist, to the absurdist side of it, which I typically enjoy absurdist stuff. But I just feel it kind of lost its mojo for me around season 5, season 6. I'll watch it if it's on. Again,
yeah, I thought
memorable stuff. One of the best episodes of situation comedy ever was Seinfeld with the bet about masturbation.
Yes,
because they never said the word, but you know exactly what they were talking about. And
I think the characters. I'm sorry.
And Michael Richards' performance in that sealed the deal for that fucking show as being one of the best comedy episodes ever. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, without fail. I think because you mentioned Michael Richards' Kramer character, I thought the characters worked better together on that show than whether it was Friends or The Big Bang Theory or what have you, because you actually cared about each one of them individually. If you were a fan of the show, I was a now on again off again fan because I worked when it was on. So if I ever caught it, it's in some sort of rerun syndication bullshit. But let's be honest, you cared about each one of those characters. I saw the memes when, as we were talking about a few weeks ago, the Australian breakdancer in the Olympics. And they're like, I'm surprised she didn't break into the what's the name of the character? The Elaine.
Elaine, yeah.
Yeah. So it still resonates to this day.
Yeah, it maintains its relevancy, but I just think I don't know. I don't think it's the best sitcom ever. It had some of the best episodes ever.
Sure.
But as a whole, it was too uneven for me.
The episode where Kramer does the AIDS walk, but he doesn't want to wear the ribbon.
That's a good one. That is a good one too. And the Puerto Rican Day Parade one is really good too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wear the ribbon. I don't want to, but you have to. No, I don't. I'm here.
No, I don't.
I'm in the march, but you have to wear the ribbon. Where does it say that? But that Kramer is a skinny Jewish herm. That's where I'll leave it. I don't have to. I don't want to wear the ribbon. Why should I?
I want to wear the ribbon. I'm here.
I'm in the walk.
I'm already making my point. I'm in the walk.
Exactly. What do you got next?
I'm showing my agreeance. All right, that was 4-3 ER.
Okay.
I watched it consistently only because at the time I was still living at home and my parents watched it consistently. And I got invested in the characters, but to me, I don't think it was as good as the critics spun it up to be. I'll agree with what you said about Big Bang. The components were better than the whole. There were stellar performances from George Clooney, Noel Wiley, Anthony Edwards, but I kind of, I don't know. It started the trend of these goddamn medical dramas, which has never ended and will never end. I mean, without ER, you wouldn't have House. Without ER, you wouldn't have The Good Doctor or any other fucking medical drama
Chicago
show.
Med, Chicago Fire, Chicago Police,
Chicago
whatever
Hope,
the fuck. Yeah.
blah 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 blah. Now House, I still watch House to this day only because I love Hugh Laurie and I think House is just a fucking awesome asshole character. But I don't know, the some of his parts, the whole just didn't do it for me.
He's a crippled medical doctor, Big Herm.
Right. And ER became too much of a daytime soap opera. Yeah. ER became too much like a daytime soap opera halfway through its run, and it wasn't good. It stopped being good after about season 3. I still watched it only because I was invested. Again, I watch things because once you get me in the first couple seasons, I'll stick around unless it's really, really, really trash. Then I just fucking leave it.
Okay.
Leading into my number 2, guys are gonna hate me for this. Cheers. Yeah, Cheers. The first 2 seasons, that's it. Everything after season 2, I didn't like.
I don't think I should have got out of bed for this.
I don't think we need to continue the show. I think we've heard enough.
I think we're all done.
I'm sorry.
I think we're all done.
I'm sorry.
It's your opinion. You're allowed to have it. Keep going.
I think we need a moment.
They killed off some really good characters. They killed off Jay Thomas's character only because he said something that pissed off the producers. And he was a great fucking character. He played Rhea Perlman's husband.
Yeah,
Eddie LeBeck,
the hockey player.
Eddie LeBeck.
Eddie LeBeck. There you go.
Eddie LeBeck, the hockey player. And I fucking love that character. That was one of the best characters in the show. Then they fucking killed him off because he said, "Oh, would you want to kiss Rhea Perlman every day?" He's a comedian. That's what he does. Tell fucking jokes.
It's a fair point. I ain't gonna lie. But depending on how many zeros my paycheck has, I'll tongue kiss her forever.
I'll tongue kiss her fucking butthole if you pay me enough money. I'm not that picky.
Right? That they were making fucking ridiculous money back then for that show.
I didn't like Frasier's brother when they brought him on board.
Niles,
he was just a low rent Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer, again, it's the pieces are great. You put it all together, it wasn't good to me.
See, I think sometimes when they layered the characters, like Frasier was a great character, introduced as Diane's boyfriend. They split up because of the sexual tensions between her and Sam. So they brought in Bebe Neuwirth as Lilith, and the character got life breathed into it, and it was so awesome.
I liked Kelsey Grammer so much that I watched Frasier. I liked Frasier much better than I liked Cheers. It just got dumb. In my opinion, it got dumb. Wasn't a big fan of Kirstie Alley. It was good.
You did watch the episodes with Coach, right?
You can't
get any dumber.
He's supposed to be dumb.
I know. Nick Colasanto played that role.
He was
perfectly.
The best part of those first 3 seasons. God rest his soul.
Mm-hmm.
Died of a heart attack. Died of a heart attack during the season gap. He was a young guy. He was only in his mid 60s when he passed away.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get Cheers. I don't get it. I'll watch it.
Okay. That's fine.
I wouldn't binge watch it. My number 1.
I would. As soon as it hit Netflix, I blew through 3 seasons like nobody's business.
My number 1. People are going to hate me. And I forced myself to watch 2 seasons of this recently. Game of Thrones.
No, I'm with you. 1000%.
It took me 3 years to get through the first episode without falling asleep. 3 years. I started Game of Thrones after rehab, and it's been almost 3 years since rehab.
Mhm.
Actually, I started it in rehab because it was on whatever they had on television that you could pick from the free stuff.
Mhm.
Couldn't get into it, and then I forced myself over the last 8 months or so to watch at least 2 to 3 seasons. I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it's shit writing. I think it's, I don't know, just stupid.
Okay.
And I'm not a sword and sorcerer dragon kind of guy. That has never appealed to me. Never, ever, ever appealed to me. I tried really good. Peter Dinklage is good in it. That's about all I got for the Game of Thrones. I like you, Peter. I think you're a terrific actor. You play a really good asshole in that show, but I can't.
Yeah, I can't
And
say that
I have friends that say keep going, give it a chance. I'm like, when does it get better?
No, it
When
doesn't.
do things actually happen? Other than
Don't.
women getting naked and getting fucking bent over and railed, which is okay. I'm not saying that, that's entertaining at least,
Yeah,
but that's all I see. I don't get the story.
I'm with you on that. You're not going to get an argument out of me. I am going to argue Cheers, though. I really am. And again, your opinion, that's fine. But wow, a guy like you, I figured, would have been all up in the Cheers business.
I like Ted Danson. I like Ted Danson a lot. I think he's a very underrated actor. And if you want to watch a really good show with Ted Danson that's recent, is watching The Good Place.
I've heard of that.
It's my wife turned me onto it because she was watching it. And I started started from the beginning. I really liked it. I wish they hadn't canceled it. It's a very Riley funny show, very dark, kind of a black comedy. And he's really, really good in it. I think one of the best parts in Saving Private Ryan is his like 5-6 minute part in Saving Private Ryan. It's one of the best parts of the movie.
I was about to say I didn't see him in that role, but I watched Shaving Ryan's Privates, not the other one.
That's weird.
She was a good-looking chick, that Ryan. I'll tell you.
Meg Ryan?
No, the other one.
Meg Ryan was
Anyway.
Meg Ryan was really cute before she got all that fucking plastic surgery and fucked up her face.
Meg Ryan was hot up through and including about 2008.
Oh, she was at her prime in like Inner Space.
Yeah. I'd even go, what's the one with the bookstore?
You've Got
Mail. Yeah. I'd have kicked my wife down a flight of steps to get to her.
Holy shit.
She was steaming hot.
That's brutal.
And when I was a kid, we went to Disney, a family vacation, 86, 87. And her and Dennis Quaid and their kids were having breakfast at a table, one table away. And, you're trying to like not be noticeable and catch a glimpse. And as we're walking away, he said hello to my dad. And my dad said hello to him. It's like, we're big fans. He goes, oh, thank you very much. And we're big fans of you too. Oh, thank you very much. We just kept walking. But extremely for that interaction, they could have told us to fuck off. That's why Dennis Quaid is one of my favorite actors, just because anything he does, he wraps his teeth around it and he nails every fucking role.
I'm a big fan too. A big fan of him.
Can't wait. I cannot wait till next week to go see Reagan. I really can't.
You're going on your day off, right?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I gotta work.
No. Call in dead.
Otherwise, I'd go with you. Now I can't. We have an audit coming next week, so
fuck their audit. This is the 40th president of the United States, and it's a historical document of a film which a lot of names are changed to protect the guilty and the innocent. And you will go watch this fucking movie. I'll call you out. I'm like, hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Lynch ain't coming to work today.
I'm Dr. Swollen Penis.
He's got the clap. Dr. Willenholly.
Dr. Marshall Willenholly.
That's it. It took me years to figure that reference out from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. It
Yeah.
took me years. Marshall, Will, and Holly. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
what a name. And then the
Oh,
land of the okay. Marshall, Will, and
Will
Holly.
and Holly.
On another something adventure.
Oh God,
All right.
those
All right.
those
So
that's
did
my
you
list of
hit number
television
one?
shows.
You did hit
Yeah,
number one, Game of Thrones.
Game of
Harm, do you have
Thrones.
anything you'd like to add to this overrated TV?
Yeah. Stranger Things.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
I can see it though. I can see it.
All right, I understand. Maybe it's not worth the hype that everybody gets on board with. I just happen to like it.
I do. I enjoy it a lot.
They're with you on Friends. Anything Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get. Yeah, really. Lately, that's it though. The Stranger Things. I don't get it.
Understood. And I'm not the hugest sci-fi person, but I forget who asked me to watch it, and I did. And the first 2 episodes were kind of plotting, and then it really caught fire, and it grabbed me ever since. I can't wait for the new season. I'm hoping this is the last one. I don't know where else. Again, it's another one we don't know where else they can go with the story. Cobra Kai is ending this year. They just did the first 6. They're going to release 5 more, and then 5 more after that episodes, and then Cobra Kai is over. Good. Go out on top. Don't drag this out like Walking Dead, please. I hope Stranger Things takes a page out of Cobra Kai's book and says, this is it. This is as far as we can go with this.
So here's the thing about Stranger Things. Whenever you have a television show based around preteen kids and it takes a year and a half to film a season, what happens to those kids?
Oh, they grow.
They grow up really fucking fast. To be believable, the stories would have to jump significantly in years to match the growth of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
Right, we're joining them a year and a half, 2 years later.
Yeah. If the show was set in 84, the next season should be set in 86 and then 88.
Well,
and then further.
They're kind of trying to do that. They tried to do that. But Millie Bobby Brown changed a lot from season 1 to season 3 and 4.
You think?
She became a woman. Okay.
Yes, she did.
Now, my take on Stranger Things, had they done every season a different group of people, I think it would have been a little bit better because you're kind of restricting yourself as to what situations you can put these kids in.
Yeah.
Gaetano Matarazzo was only 12 years old when he started that show. He's a young man. You can't. That's the problem with facing shows around kids. They grow up too goddamn fast. Unless you pump out the episodes, it's not going to really be believable.
Right.
It's not that anything in Stranger Things is actually believable because it's sci-fi fantasy. But you get my point, is that you're going from a 12 years old and 8 years later, they're still 16, 17 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a stretch.
There's some critic that wrote about
that's the fatal mistake that when they came up with the premise of this show. Again, it's my opinion, and I'm just being an armchair quarterback.
Right. Well, timeline is
you
everything.
Can tell me to go fuck myself, and
I was going to do that when you said cheers, but I left it alone. It's your opinion. But when somebody put up something, a writer said, hey, this last season of Stranger Things was really good, but they didn't check their timeline because the date that they gave you around, it's the summer, this is going on, we're getting ready for prom, and oh yeah, this demon from the deep is coming to eat all our souls. And the character of Eddie plays Master of Puppets on his guitar, which had only come out 3 weeks earlier. And chances are he didn't get tab on that. And he didn't learn it by ear in 3 weeks. But there he was, shredding the shit out of that song to chase the demons away.
Well, and, I understand why they make choices like that in television. They want
suspension of disbelief.
Well, that, and they want it to be relevant to the decade. You can pull you could have pulled any metal song out of the 80s and had Eddie play it. It would have made it feel nostalgic. That's nostalgic.
Sure.
Nostalgia for nostalgia's sake. I get it. I understand that. I can buy that. But it's the people behind the characters when they grow up that fast and they just change so much. It kind of makes it all right. It's only 5 years later. Really?
Well,
you can only bind Billy Bobby Billy Brown's fucking boobs so much before they're still squeezing through her sweatshirt. She's a
Right.
woman. She's not a little kid anymore.
The beginning of the last season where they all go to the skating rink and facially they made her up to look younger. They dressed her in younger clothes. You can still tell she's a young woman. And the kid who plays her boyfriend still looks 13 years old.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. But
All right, I'm gonna give Herm a pass on this one.
there's a lot of shows that I really enjoy that are overrated. And I'll even say this isn't as good as people says it is, but it's good enough for me.
Look back at our
Just because I
childhood.
say-
The Incredible Hulk was the most
Dude,
predictable show on earth.
Roseanne.
Yeah.
I'll go with Roseanne. I watched it because it was relevant to my time frame and my parents watched it.
Yeah.
But you look, a lot of this is looking back. I look back at the shit that I watched as a kid or even as a young adult up into my late 20s, 30s. I'm like, I really thought this show was that good. Because I can critique myself too. I go back, and just because it's on my list as overrated doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Like Cheers, I enjoy watching it. It's just, I personally don't believe it deserved all the praise it got. That's what all these lists are comparing it to, and I think that's very, very relevant to today. Where when I say I don't like something, or I think it's overrated, it doesn't make me a bad guy. I don't think the people that made the show are evil or stupid or whatever. It just does. I don't connect with it, and it's okay to have that disagreement amongst friends.
Sure.
And not fucking hate each other for it.
Agreed.
Just because I don't like Game of Thrones doesn't make me evil. Game of Thrones is not for me.
Makes you smarter.
Well, it makes me when I'm critical about things like that. What's one thing in life that's very precious? Time. I'm not going to waste my time to invest the time to watch something I'm not going to enjoy, or that has proven that I'm not going to enjoy. I don't enjoy skydiving. Haven't even done it yet. That's how much I don't enjoy it. Just because I don't want to go skydiving doesn't mean I think that people who skydive should die.
Right.
I just don't understand their mindset. That's okay. That's cool. It's okay to disagree.
You know, I often say that around, Thanksgiving time when they're doing the Godfather marathon, leave me alone. I'm watching the Godfather for the 9,000th time. 1, 2, and I'll dive into 3 if I'm feeling lucky. Last night I wasn't feeling well. I'm still not feeling well today. I was flipping channels and found A Bronx Tale. And I've seen the movie 100 times. I watched it again.
It's a very good movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
Chaz Palminteri is fucking outstanding in that movie.
I forget who it was. An old girlfriend of mine thought that the character Sonny was played by Gene Simmons because of the furrowed brow and the nose. And it's like that's not Gene Simmons. That's Chaz Palminteri. No, look at him. That's Gene Simmons. Like, that is not Gene fucking Simmons.
I can see the mistaken resemblance. I can understand that.
Yeah. All right. I'll buy it.
A person gets a pass.
All right. So wherever you are, Suzette, you get a pass.
Yeah, you get a pass for
Crazy bitch.
What means fucking nothing.
Anything else on your TV list there, Herm, or you want to move on?
That's pretty much it.
All right. Because you're a bigger movie buff than I am, I'm going to let you do your 5 movies first.
My 5 movies first. All right. Number 5. Saw it when it came out in the theaters. Seen it several times since. I still think Titanic is one of the most grossly overrated movies of its time.
Correct.
With a caveat.
Okay.
The special effects, the editing and sound design were fucking on point. They were fantastic, and it advanced a lot of technology in movie making at the time.
Well,
I'll also throw a slash there and say it's another James Cameron movie, Avatar. They're a tie for 5th. Titanic, we already know the story. They go out in a boat, it sinks. They hit an iceberg, it sinks. Spinning a love story on it, whatever. I really don't care. I got dragged to see it in the theaters by my, at the time, girlfriend. I was entertained for 3 hours. But did I ever really need? Did I need to go see that in the theater? Absolutely not. Oh, well, maybe for the spectacle. Yeah, all right. For the spectacle, the sound, the visuals, that was all beautiful. I mean, just making making a disaster movie wrapped around a love story just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna say
same thing with Avatar. It's the same thing with Avatar. It's a disaster movie, only just told a different way.
I'll hold my tongue on Titanic until my turn.
Okay, fair enough.
We got
number 4, Gravity.
Okay.
Sandra Bullock and George Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
She gets trapped in space. Probably one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my fucking life. That was an hour and 45 minutes I'll never get back in my life. And I didn't think it was great. Beautifully shot. You can appreciate it for its visuals. It sounds good. It looks good. But the story, to me, sucked. It was boring. Sandra Bullock wasn't very convincing as an astronaut. I'm sorry. And that was right around the time frame she had her first of a couple plastic surgeries that fucked up her face. She was a beautiful, beautiful woman when she was in her 20s and 30s.
Amen
there was
to that.
absolutely no reason for her to change. She just looked weird. She still looks weird to this day. Leading into my next movie is another Sandra Bullock movie, The Blind Side. Way overrated. I don't think she deserved an Oscar. I don't think she deserved anything performance-wise. I think it was just a really, really gaudy vaudevillian kind of performance. You could put anybody in that role and had her talk the way Sandra Bullock talked and would have sounded like the real person, because that's how the real person talked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was just phoning it in. I didn't see the kid who played Or was okay. He's a big guy, believable football player. But did it deserve Oscar nods and Golden Globes and all this shit? Absolutely fucking not. Another boring fucking movie. Leading into my number 3, Crash, from around 2004, 2005, won the Best Picture.
Wasn't as good as the one from 95.
The one from 95 was a million times better. If anybody who doesn't familiar from the movie Crash from around the mid-2000s, early mid-2000s, it's kind of an anthology movie where events happen that all tie into each other, which I kind of like movies like that generally. But again, I think it was one of the most overhyped, overrated, critically praised, average movie I've ever seen in my life. It's not a bad movie. It's just not as good as it was made out to be. I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it after it won an Oscar for Best Picture. I'm like, I might as well check it out. Rented it from Blockbuster. Actually, no, rented it from Movie Gallery on Route 82 in Norwich. From my friend Chris, who used to work there as a manager.
Fuck that guy.
He said, you're not going to like it. He handed it to me. He's like, you're not going to like it.
I like that already.
And I trusted it. I always trusted Chris's judgment because I'd known him a long time. And when I returned it 2 days later, he said, what'd you think? And I went, you garbage. He's like, I told you. I know your taste. And that ain't your taste.
There goes $3.
We had this same discussion about how fucking overrated it was. He said the best part of that whole movie was Matt Dillon's performance. And he wasn't on screen enough for me for that to be the redemptive performance. Sorry, Matt. I love Matt Dillon. I think Matt Dillon's a fantastic actor, another criminally underrated actor. His performance didn't save that movie. That was 5, 4, 3. My number 2. This is going to piss a lot of people off. The Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Thank you.
I read Dr. Tolkien's books growing up. Professor Tolkien's books growing up. I enjoyed them for what they were. Again, it's that whole sword and sorcery kind of hobbits and elves type shit that I wasn't into. My dad really enjoyed it, so anything my dad liked, I tried to like just to see if it would be something for me. And he always had that frustration with me. He's like, I just don't get why you don't like that. I'm like, I'm different. Like, I didn't like playing Dungeons and Dragons. I did because I learned how to play other role-playing games from that. But D&D wasn't my thing. I would hang out at D&D parties and, laugh and joke and shit because it was a good time. The actual gathering of people was more fun than the game to me. Lord of the Rings, it's just a button-a-thon. with every movie. And fuck you, Return of the King. I agree with Kevin Smith. Oh, look, we're going to walk to the volcano. We're going to throw the rings in. The end. Come shot credits. You don't need the 5 fucking false endings in Return of the King that we were given. The movie ended at 2 hours. And then we get another hour and a quarter of just fucking nonsense. Nonsense. The mistake is you cannot take an epic like Lord of the Rings and make it make sense in a film. I'm sorry, because those books are theater of the mind. And to me, and if you, no matter what you do, no matter how well you make that movie, hey, Leon, what up? I see you out there in the comment section. Hope you're doing well. No matter what you do, there's always going to be critique and critics and saying, oh, this is wrong. The orcs don't look right. This is wrong. The blah, blah, Galadriel is dressed the wrong way. You know what? I get you geeks who are that far into Lord of the Rings, and I give you a lot of credit and praise for that. I'm not that guy. I'm that guy I used to be that guy with Star Wars. Now I just don't give a shit about anything anymore because it's not worth my time. But I get the guys that are so into these films and comic books and characters and shit like that have those critiques about it. No matter, you can't please anybody by making a movie out of a book series like that. And then there's all that extra stuff that he wrote that was like the bibliography and the biography after the books that Amazon has turned into the whatever fucking show that is that I hear horrible things about. How they're making up fucking characters that were never written into the original books to make it relevant to today, to be inclusive. Let's leave it the fuck alone. Let's leave it the fuck alone.
Agreed.
I get it. You think there's an audience for that. Well, there is an audience for that, and all you're doing is pissing them off. Sorry, Amazon. If you, I have to agree with Leon on the comic section. Disney destroyed the whole of Star Wars. Should have shared it with George Lucas. I agree with you. George Lucas saw a payday. I'm getting old. I'm getting out. And I don't fault him for that.
And I'm getting a fat paycheck in the works. You know what? People working hard for 40, 50 years of their life deserve some people just deserve a good payday. And if, shake your hand, Mr. Lucas. Good on you. You walked away when you were on top, your personal top, and didn't stick around to see it. Just some people say destroyed. Some people say it's total dog shit. I kind of enjoyed the last 3 that we saw. It got dumb with the last one. It's really, really dumb. I mean, it's the last trilogy is just Star Wars, the original trilogy, with different characters of different names. That's it. Kylo Ren is Darth Vader. Rey is Luke Skywalker. Han Solo is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's all parallel. It's all the same. They just tell the same story with different people that look a little bit different, and just they're making mad ducats on the merchandise and the video games and all the animated shows. Blah 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 blah. Fine, whatever, Disney. Well, yeah, because the hardcores are still going to go out and gobble up anything that has the Star Wars name attached to it, and that's where they're going to make their bank. Plus, having the deal with Disney, where they're dumping all of their money into the product and into the franchise, and they're pumping out Star Wars product at a clip of 1 a year. The money machine keeps rolling.
And that's part of the problem I see with that is that Disney has made some really good Star Wars shows. The first Mandalorian, first 2 seasons of the Mandalorian were really good. Andor was really good. Book of Boba Fett was okay, and then they just started going off the rails with the DEI agenda. Because of all the hype that how bad that last show, Star Wars show, The Acolyte, was getting, I started watching it and I finished it. One of the most poorly written, poorly filmed, nonsensical 8 hours I've ever watched in my life. Characters making decisions that were absolutely stupid, poor writing, horrible acting. Now, the guy who played one of the leads was in the he was in that series Squid Game. He's Korean. He learned English to do this show. He was the best part of the show, and I could barely fucking understand him. And when that guy is the best part of the show, you know there's a problem.
Yeah.
They're making shit up. They're making shit up just to make shit up. And everybody who has an idea about it, it's Star Wars made by and written by people who don't know Star Wars. And they don't give a fuck about the past. They're going to shit on the past of what was successful, even in the prequels in the last trilogy. They're shitting all over the whole franchise and pumping it out as entertainment. It's not entertaining. It just didn't make sense at all. Without that whole other agenda included in there, the show just sucked. Straight up sucked. I'm sorry.
There you go. I'm with you on that. You got a number one?
Number one movie.
Overrated.
Number one overrated movie. Again, reflecting back. I recently watched Dances with Wolves again. I think that's highly overrated.
Okay.
Highly overrated. It's got good pieces and parts to it. I as a whole, I remember watching it as a kid. Well, how old were we? We were 16, 17 when that movie came out. It came out in
About
89.
that, yeah. Yeah.
Again, visually, it's beautiful. It's boring. There's a whole stretches of that movie where it's just music and film. And if I wanted to watch a nature documentary, I'd turn on PBS and I'd watch one. I hear him shaking his head. He's got something to say. I know he's got something to say about that.
Let's hear
it. All right. I'm gonna say this, Herm.
I'm the guy that used to watch John Wayne movies right up until the day my dad died. And some of those old cowboy movies, you would have 3 to 4 minutes of literally guys on horses walking through some of the most picturesque shit you've ever seen while music played.
But compressed down to an hour and a half feature film, that worked. When you got an almost 4-hour movie for the expanded director's cut,
I liked it. It harkened back to those scenes where you were just watching guys, watching 10, 12 guys on horses walk through just some of the most amazing panoramic desert. It felt old. It felt, you know what I mean? Like it felt old.
And I can see where you see that, because I watched westerns too with my grandfather and my dad. It wasn't as big of a thing in my house. I watched a lot of classic westerns, like True Grit was one of my grandfather's favorite fucking movies. And anytime it was on, he would watch it. So I really appreciated John Wayne for that kind of the things he did throughout his career that were cowboy. So you saw a lot more of it than I did. However, I have started watching Kevin Costner's new movie. Holy shit. That first hour is fucking intense.
Have you watched the whole movie yet?
Not yet. I started falling asleep.
Watch the whole movie and then we'll discuss it. I've got a couple of issues.
Okay.
But watch the
first
whole
hour. I'm saying this, the first about hour or so, I'm in it because it's brutal.
Yeah, no, it is all the way through. It's the very end I want you to watch.
Okay, so I'll promise to pick that up this week, probably tonight. While I'm laying in bed when I can't sleep, I'll throw it on, throw my earbuds in, and finish watching it.
It's literally the last 3 minutes of the movie.
Oh, so yeah, you're in it to win it there. You're all in. But yeah, Dances with Wolves. I have others that I think could have easily been in the number one spot. And I'm going to say this about a movie that I absolutely fucking adore. Close Encounters could have been thrown in there. The people outside the genre who look at that, outside the genre, I said, Herm, they'll look at that and be like, what the fuck is this? And I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from people who are non-sci-fi fans that I read on the internet forums and shit like that talk about classic movies. So I read all that shit. I'm a movie geek. I read the opposition because I'm supposed to. That's how I make a formed opinion. Or hey, maybe he has something to say that I've never heard before. And there are a few things that people have said about that movie that I can kind of agree with that are negatives. But I still love the movie. And that's my whole point. Is you can love Herm can love something and I can not like it.
Mm-hmm. There's
Burns
two on my list that I absolutely love, but they're overrated as hell.
But that's just me. That's me.
It is
Next.
just you.
All
right. Well, who do I piss off first? Well, whoever likes number 5, I apologize ahead of time. Grease is an overrated movie.
Absolutely, 100% agree.
Not even either one of their best performances, Travolta or Olivia Newton-John. You can take half of that cast, an all-star studded cast, not even their best performances. I think the fact that the songs are so memorable, and to this day, like I even sang part of that song earlier. I was in the room and my mom called. It's like, how you doing? I was like, I got chills. And then the first thing that popped into my head was they're multiplying. That's the music. Great, fantastic soundtrack. The movie itself, garbage. I think it's overrated. That's my opinion, and you can't stop me. Number 4.
You gotta think of the time frame though, Chris. That was it came out in 78, set about 25 years. Our parents dug that kind of shit. That nostalgia.
All that nostalgia shit.
Yeah.
In the 70s, how many movies did you have that harken back to the 50s? You had American Graffiti, you had Grease, you had just
most of them.
Yeah. It's like, make something now.
The American Graffiti is on my list of one of the best movies of the 70s.
I wouldn't shit on that as well. That's a really fantastic fucking movie.
Not that Grease?
Not the best.
No,
fuck it.
Grease? No way. That's on one of the worst.
All right, now Lynch might take offense to this, but I put number 4, I hermed it. Every Star Wars movie made after Return of the Jedi. The original trilogy is untouchable. Everything after that was you threw something against the wall, you see what sticks. You had some of the most annoying characters in the history of the world. The stories were not cohesive. They didn't point in a straight line like the other 3 films. They tried too hard.
With the exception of Jar Jar Binks and how they portrayed him, they were pretty close to storyline, the same way that the first 3. I include 1, 2, and 3 in with 4, 5, and 6, and anything after that is complete garbage.
I will take I'll take your consideration. I'm still not changing my mind. I think once the prequels started to come out, you had these films that were made in the 70s and 80s. The special effects were minimal. You could see in certain scenes strings that were moving some of the robotic characters. I get it. It's a sign of the times. The 3 that they made after that was like the Phantom Menace, the duck who shot somebody, and the dude that flung the bitch, or whatever the fucking films were. I watched each one of them once. I don't care. Way too slick. Way too much happening. You just mentioned Dances with Wolves, and Herm counteracted with, there's a time where they're walking through this desert and you see the beautiful scenery. There was just so much going on in every scene. It took me out of that film. Whereas if you go to one of the first 3 Star Wars where they're on the ice planet, you see the characters and snow. Or if they're on the desert planet, Tatooine, you see the characters, the boat, and sand. You were focused on the happening, not the surrounding. Everything was just, there was so much in each and every freaking scene. It looked like a video game. It took me right out of it.
That is a point that I will absolutely agree with, is that they do, if you're going to go in timeline wise, which is why, and you have to understand, this is why George Lucas went back before those movies came out and updated the original trilogy, the special effects. The prequels, I think I agree with Herm. They were pretty much beat for beat, telling the story of the first three movies with the characters that you were already invested in those first three, the 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
Well, you have to
I think
remember why Lucas went with Star Wars when he went with A New Hope as the movie he went with. He went
right,
with that movie because of all of the books. It was going to be the easiest to pull off effect wise and to shoot. That's literally why he chose that book, because it was the easiest book to pull the fuck off. He wanted to do the whole fucking series, but there was no way he could do some of the shit that really needed to happen. And what you saw in movies 1, 2, and 3, the was what he truly wanted 4, 5, and 6 to be.
Right.
And the time was impossible.
He had all 6 movies in his head when he started writing the original Star Wars: A New Hope.
Yeah,
and he's got the notes to prove it. He's got the receipts to prove it.
Yeah, he had the whole story from 1 to 6 through. He just wrote the books.
But he knew that,
wrote them in order. He just chose to shoot that one because it was easiest.
Because it was going to be the easiest and cheapest to pull off. Now,
right
outside of that, the acting is a little cheesy in the prequels. I will give it that. Jake Lloyd, poor kid, is now a soup fucking sandwich mentally. He should never have been put in front of a camera. Not be, and I say this with actual compassion. That really fucked him up later in life. He was bullied. He was bullied so hard that he turned to drugs, and has had some run-ins with the law. I feel bad for the fucking kid. And when I say not put in front of the camera, only because his psyche didn't handle it very well after the movie. Hayden Christensen was okay. Very wooden performance. Natalie Portman's Natalie Portman. But story-wise, I rewatched those, and I think I said this on the show months ago, is that rewatching the prequels, I appreciate them more now than I did when I first watched them. Because I can watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in order, and I can appreciate it as an entire saga, whereas I couldn't before. I've learned to appreciate it better. And like Herm said, anything after that is dog shit. The first one was the best one. They got progressively stupid as it went along. The third one, there's no fucking need for Kylo Ren to be fucking in your dreams, half naked, the entire fucking movie. I'm sorry.
Put your
fucking shirt on.
I didn't mind the Solo story.
I thought Rogue One and Solo, a Han Solo, a Star Wars story, 2 of the best Star Wars movies in the last 20 years.
I thought Solo was pretty good. I liked the backstory, and they explained the Kessel Run. They did all of that. There was some other things they included. I liked that. It didn't really fuck with my storybooks. You know what I mean?
No.
It didn't fuck with my books.
And that's outside of the original saga. That's a side story. It's a side quest.
Right. It's like fan fiction, and I'm fine with it as long as it held true enough.
And I think Rogue One, the story that happens before Star Wars and the Rebels, is a better Star Wars movie than the last 3 movies.
Yeah, that's like episode 3.5.
Yeah,
it's 3.5. It's episode 3.5. It's yeah.
And I thought it was very well done. I thought everybody in that movie was perfect. Make more of that. Make TV shows more like that. Get entertaining. That makes sense. That kind of they don't fuck with the lore. They expand upon it. The TV shows just are trying to change things that don't need to be changed. And yeah, I sound like a fucking 52-year-old white privileged male sitting on my high horse saying shit like that. It's because I know the formula works. When you know the formula works, and if you're going to deviate from it, you better make goddamn sure that your equation X equals Y at the end. Because if you keep shitting on and making these changes to the equation and just keep producing shit after shit after shit show, that goes for any television network, not just Disney, not just Amazon. Same thing with regular television. one of the best shows on TV right now, Apple TV, Bad Monkey, Vince Vaughn. If you have Apple TV, I highly suggest you watch it. It's a really, really good show. Smartly written, excellent performances. I mean, that's give me more TV like that, please, and not just schmaltzy crap.
Agreed.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, yeah.
Where was I?
Fuck,
Yeah.
fuck those.
Number 3, which was also on your list, was Titanic. I thought the love story was garbage. I thought the way they portrayed the actual sinking of the ship was visually phenomenal.
In real time.
Yeah. And that's the part of the film I like. I didn't like the made-up story. They could have taken anybody's story off that ship that survived and made a compelling film. Wasn't a huge fan of the love story. I still think Jack could have been up on that chair because that door was certainly big enough. For someone who says, "I'm never going to let go," Jack, she sure was quick to let him go and sink into the bottom of the Atlantic. She is the most evil person in cinema, and no one should like Rose ever in the history of ever. That's my opinion.
Except for when she gets naked and he draws her boobies.
But that's different. That's the only time you're allowed to like her. Number 2 is a newer one. I like the film, but boy, if people don't put this up on a pedestal every single fucking day, Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice.
So you rank it a lot higher than I would.
It's number 2 most overrated on my list.
Yeah.
Think about that. You have the chance to put the 2 biggest cartoon characters of your universe together on the screen, and you muddy it every chance you get. The only saving grace in that is the fight scene.
Yeah, that was
between the 2 of them when he puts on the super mega Batman suit and he goes toe to toe with Superman, which was great. And the scene in the courtroom with the DA where she picks up the urine and it says Aunt Granny's peach tea or whatever the fuck it was. What's his nuts there? Jesse, help me with Eisenberg. Terrible choice for Luthor. Luthor was not off the wall cokehead Jones. Luthor was cold and calculating, and they did the Luthor character right in the the drama series Titans. They did Luthor
with John Cryer.
Yes.
Yeah, I never watched that series, and because of you talking about it, I started watching it. That's really
fucking phenomenal.
I didn't realize Tom Welling came back as Superman in that show.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. It's Tom Welling. I love Smallville. I thought that a very entertaining show.
I like the fact that it the first episode of Titans, it basically shows DC what they did wrong with Superman versus Batman. Robin comes out, whips the shit out of a bunch of thugs, and like, oh, where's Batman? He turns around, he's got blood on his face, got blood on his hands from whooping the shit out of these people, and he just looks back and goes, fuck Batman, and walks away into that's my boy right there. That's Robin, motherfucker. But they had so much opportunity to make this a great film, and they blew it at each and every turn. I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I even like Ben Affleck as Batman.
So do I.
I like all those characters.
I like Batfleck.
But
I like Batfleck.
That movie's highly overrated. The Justice League, though, whether you watch the theatrical version or the 4-hour Zach Galifianakis, whatever his name was, Zack Snyder. Yeah. The 4-hour Zack Snyder cut. Fantastic films. But they blew it with Superman versus Batman. Absolutely.
What did you think of the Flash? Quickly.
The movie?
Yeah.
I watched it because of the cameo by Michael Keaton. I don't understand the Flash. I don't like the Flash. My superpower is I can run fast. That's it. Usain Bolt should have a fucking superhero outfit and go out and fight crime.
So not that Flash was ever one of my favorite comic book characters. I think he was a cool character. I like what they did with the story as far as him being able to like play with the multiverse thing.
Yes.
I thought that was a real cool concept. It was more of a useful tool, more of a useful use of the multiverse than portrayed in like other DC stuff or Marvel stuff. overall I really liked it. And people say, "What is the fucking garbage? The CGI sucks." Yeah, the CGI does suck, but whatever. I don't like the kid who played the Flash. He did a good job playing the Flash.
No.
I'm not a fan of him. But anyway,
Well, he's a dirtbag from what I hear.
yeah, a little bit.
All right. Number one's going to piss somebody off. I'm going to state it again. I love this movie, but it is highly overrated. And to me, it is about as fantasy as you can get when it comes down to what I'm about to explain. The Shawshank Redemption was an overrated film. I don't think none of us have been to prison. It's a fantastic fucking movie, but wow, what a bunch of well-behaved prisoners we have here. No fights, no nothing, maybe one or two skirmishes, but boy, were they all having a tea party in prison. Fantastic film. Love the film. Love the story. Love the message. But I don't think it's one of the top 10, top 20 movies of all time. I don't. And not to say that others on my list were, but man, when you talk to people about movies, that's one of the first ones they throw out at you, Shawshank. I say the same thing every time.
I have one on my honorable mention list that always pisses people off when I say it.
Oh, Herm's got something to say.
As a Stephen King fan, who personally found the different seasons novellas fucking riveting.
Mhm.
That movie, with the exception of a couple of rape scenes that would have never ever made it in the book, was word for word, line for line, scene for scene, the most accurate expression of a Stephen King book I've ever seen, with the exception of Stand By Me.
Okay.
Those two movies, as a Stephen King fan, are line for line one of the only movies that I know of that are that tight to the book.
Okay.
And it lucks out because they're novellas, so they're short. They're not short stories, but they're not full length novels. But they're long. They're much longer stories than a short story, which is why they translated so well to film. They were the perfect length to include everything. Apt Pupil was really exceptional.
Mhm.
I always wanted to see. I know I'm getting off subject, but I always wanted to see The Breathing Method, which was the winter story in that book.
That's one of the best ones in the book, man.
I always thought The Breathing Method would have made an amazing film, but
I agree. That's a great fucking story. And I heard what you were saying. Yeah, his novellas are perfectly sized to translate to movies.
yeah, and like remember, in all content, get it all in.
And you got to remember, people, for every minute of film is a page. So a 180-page book tends to be 3 hours long. That's why long Stephen King books don't translate well into a compact film. They're 900 pages. That's why they make better miniseries. With the exception of a few, like It was a decent translation of it. I'm up or down on the new version of it. I like the first one better than the second one. But yeah, being a Stephen King fan, I will high-heartedly agree with those statements. It was a very good point. But yeah, Chris, I will agree with you as well. A good movie. Was it worth all the hype? And because originally it flopped at the box office. It got its second life.
Really well.
It got its second life on TBS and TNT back in the 90s when they would just show it every fucking weekend.
Oh yeah, and video rental afternoon.
I was going to say it bloomed when it went to video rental.
Right, because it came out in the time when movies come out for home consumption very, very fast now. It used to be half a year. If your movie came out in January,
it was 6 months before you got the early premiere of this straight from the box office.
And then Then, before home video release, you had to contend with when HBO, Showtime, and the Movie Channel were still actual contenders in the movie programming. They'd get a crack at it first. So, because the method of distribution is so fucking different than it used to be. Now, your movie came out April 4th. You'll see it on demand May 30th.
Yeah, I remember the Iron
quarter.
Claw was the same thing. It came out in theaters right before Christmas, and by mid-January, I was telling you guys, "Here's my login information. Go watch this movie." 3 months later, it's free on HBO Max.
So it got its second. It got its second. Its resurgence and all that praise after its theatrical run because it bombed at the box office. It was like dead last.
Mhm.
So from like when that movie came out, and then in the mid to late 90s, they were showing it all the time. That people were like, "Oh, this is a good movie. I'll actually go rent it from Blockbuster, or go buy it at Walmart because it's only $20. Fuck it." And oh, holy shit! The sales went up. All the praise went up for it. Then critics reevaluated it and said, "Oh, it's one of the best fucking movies of this century." It's a good movie, but it's not the best movie of the century.
Mhm.
It's very well written because it's word for word from what Stephen King wrote.
Okay. You said you had an honorable mention or two? Because I have one.
The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
Enjoyable movie. Jeff Bridges is fucking great in it. John Goodman's great in it. Does it deserve all the praise it gets for almost the last 30 years?
Yes, it does. Most indubitably, yes.
Indubitably.
Now, I understand the cult of dude. I get it. And dudism and all that stuff. I think
The
that
cult of Walter.
coming out of that's what I get out of
Is
that
my
movie.
spirit animal.
If I could live my life drinking, was it White Russians or Black, whatever the fuck he drank, and just wearing a bathrobe all day long, having a good time, smooth and through. God bless him. I mean, I understand that concept of that, but like, it's not as quotable as any other movie I've watched in that era. I've watched it a million times. I can't remember it. I don't remember
That's
shit
like
from that movie.
just your opinion, man.
Right, man. See, I get it.
Wow.
I get that. I get that part of it, but I don't think it was
How
that
apropos.
I have. Did I have any TV honorable mentions? Not really. I mean,
Dude, honestly, every Rambo movie except for the first one and the last.
yeah,
The last
I will
one
say,
being the one where he was in Burma, or the last one where he saved his niece.
Yeah, the niece, Last Blood. That's it.
Oh, see, I liked the one in
last
Burma better.
That's it. Done.
yeah, the
Okay.
first and I'll say the last two. Everything else besides that is just fucking garbage.
Yeah, 2, 3, and
Convoluted
4
junk.
were nothing but 80s Republican blowjobs. And
Basically,
Yeah.
that was their time. And yeah, I one was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And the last
Nothing is
one,
over. Nothing.
but yeah, the first one was excellent. Given its time and right after Vietnam, it was fabulous.
And I'm going to say this, and people have agreed with me. No one's ever disagreed with me. Nobody plays a better asshole than Brian Dennehy.
yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah, he's good at
I
it.
will agree. He's very good at it.
Even in Tomboy, when he was the affable, loving, smiling father, he was still a bit of an asshole.
Yup.
But that's his niche. That's what he does.
Yup. Yeah, he played that. The only movie he wasn't really an asshole in was Cocoon, but he was kind of an asshole. But he wasn't really an asshole. He was just gruff.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, like what's the movie? Never Cry Wolf. The movie, Disney movie about Farley Mowat and the wolves up north. He was a pilot.
Great fucking movie.
And he was a complete asshole in that movie. Yeah, he does play a pretty good asshole. A likable yet really unlikable character.
Understood. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Herm, on the list? Oh, wait, you still have an honorable mention, Lynch, I think.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. I can throw that on the overrated list.
Okay.
I mean, okay, Tom Hanks was good in it. It has some funny parts. Gary Sinise was good in it. It's kind of schmaltzy, not really my type of thing. And what ruined it, what that ruined that movie for me, I know it's based on a book, was when they brought the kid out at the end. Oh, I'm like, this is fucking this. Yep, you lost me. The kid acting just like him and shit. It's so fucking cheesy, gooey. I didn't like it. I think it's completely overrated.
Okay.
That's my list.
Good deal.
About you?
Did I say? I didn't say my honorable mention. I only have one. A Clockwork Orange. It's great to watch once in your life. Maybe it isn't great to watch once in your life, but in no way is that a cinematic masterpiece. In no way, shape, or form. However, it did catapult Stanley Kubrick to be the guy when it comes to, I need this weird film, man. Who do I? Aha! Hello, Stanley. I got something for you.
Well, that was the great thing about Stanley Kubrick. He wasn't shopped shit. He directed and produced stuff he wanted to do. So, he loved that story, and he's like, I'm putting this on this film. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's one of my favorites. I'll watch it if it happens to be on, and I'll throw it on every once in a while just because I love Malcolm McDowell's performance in that movie. He's so fucking insane in that movie. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
But I can see why you would say that. Absolutely see why you would say that.
And another one that just came to my mind was Rocky IV. And you can throw Rocky V onto that list too. First three, amazing. 4 and 5, blue chunks. They bring him back as the old man for that one fight. Great. Story could have ended. Now he's doing the thing with Creed, but he's not the main character. Michael B. Jordan is. They did it right. They're giving him his swan song, and it's well deserved.
It's the law of diminishing returns.
I mean, Herm just mentioned.
They peaked at Rocky III.
Herm just mentioned Rambo as a Republican jerk fest. Hi, 5'7" Italian white man beats big Russian.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's a complete allegory for the Cold War.
Oh, agreed. 4 was a complete Cold War hump.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what I mean. 5 was just
the
5 was just a fucking train wreck.
Yep.
There's one scene in 5 that where he's given his monologue to the kid, where he says it's not about how hard you were pushed, it's how fast you get back up. That
in Rocky Balboa at the restaurant scene. Yes,
right.
Amazing.
Rocky Balboa, this outside on the street.
Yeah, that
in Rocky V, the only takeaway I have from that is when Paulie, who for the first 4 films was portrayed as this bumbling idiot, when Tommy Morrison punches him in the face and Rock goes to get him, he looks up and he's pulling teeth out of his mouth. He said, "Should have left that bum in the street where you found him." And you were like, "Damn, Paulie's smart." Yes, Paulie was always smart. He just didn't show it.
Right. I mean, but again, like I said, so it was the law of diminishing returns. They knew they could. They milked that movie with 4, with the whole Cold War thing. I mean, it was apropos timing, I guess. But after that,
perfect.
Perfect. But after that, I mean, again, you can only suspend your disbelief for so long, and then when you're looking at a man approaching his mid-50s playing a boxer, actually boxing.
All right. Chaka in the comment section, not sure if your last name is Khan or anything, but I'm calling you Chaka Khan anyway. Welcome to the show. First time commenter says Rambo Last Blood was not good, in their opinion. Okay.
I'd have to watch the whole thing over again. I watched it, but really didn't pay much attention to it because there was something else going on.
I thought much with the Rambo film from 2008, 2007, and Rambo Last Blood humanized the Rambo character.
That's what I liked about Last Blood. You really saw it. It was much less macho, and it was more. I know this is going to sound fucked up, but he was killing a bunch of people out of love.
Yes.
And for what I felt was for Rambo, finally the right reasons to be as violent as you are being.
And that
And true to himself and to who he was and what he no longer wanted to be, and just I understood he's an old man and he just wanted to be left the fuck alone. In the last
blood, and the one prior to it start showing his real human self. He's not just doing it just because he has a personal connection to it. The last two movies, it's more of a personal thing, and he becomes actually a likable character.
Yeah, like in Last Blood, they literally invade his inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
They fuck with his inner circle, like this. They fuck with the center of the bullseye, and they fucked with other layers before they got close. But this was right in the middle. This was the small circle.
Yep. And the last one to do that was Brian Dennehy in the first film.
Right.
The other two was just, hey, go to Afghanistan and shoot a bunch of people.
Do this,
hey, go here.
Was God and Country. The first movie and the last movie were the first. Like all he wanted to do was see his friend and say goodbye, and nobody would. It was personal in the first one.
Yep. In the Rambo film from 07, 08. Excuse me for just a moment, Lynch, if you would.
No, go right ahead.
He's working as a snake wrangler in Burma or outside of Burma. And people said, oh, if you want somebody to go in and save your friends, go find John Rambo. He's like, no, I don't do that anymore. I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I'm making money. I live quietly. Leave me alone.
Right.
When the young lady comes up and says,
that's the one with the people in the going down the river, right?
Yes.
He's like, no, I'm all set with that. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but when the young lady comes in and says, do you understand our friends are going to die? And just reconsider it. He didn't speak more than 8 words. He just reconsider it. The next morning, they get on the boat. Oh, so he agreed to it? Yeah. Okay. How much did you pay him? He wouldn't take any money.
Right. Like that was his. He took it was more of a personal cause than again, like the first movie.
Thank you, Chaka Khan. That comment made me smile. I just subbed. I'm digging this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. I really appreciate that.
Shaka Khan.
Come see us every Tuesday night, 6:30.
That's right.
But yeah, but I have to agree that one and the last two had the personal affliction rather than just trying to clear his name, make a deal with the government, be of service again.
Yeah,
to get fucked.
I'm thinking of this just because we're talking about Stallone. I'll say something that's probably could be controversial. Anything Arnold Schwarzenegger was in post Terminator 2, anything he did, even kind of before that, completely overrated, with the exception of True Lies, Terminator, and Terminator 2.
You spelled kindergarten cop wrong.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved him in a comedic role. It was fucking awesome.
And I'll throw Twins in as a caveat.
I will throw. All right, I'll give the pass on Twins and Kindergarten Cop. Comedy, great, except for Jingle All the Way.
You mess with my whole family.
It's not a tumor at all.
Those I will give a pass to, but like Commando, Raw Deal, all those movies.
Well, yeah, because they were derivatives of everything else he was doing.
I'm going to kill you last.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hope you left enough room for my fist because I'm gonna slam it right into your stomach and rip out your goddamn spine. The Running Man. That movie sucked balls, but that line makes that entire film.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, Schwarzenegger is just a name that sells tickets. So it could be him taking a dump for. It could be him taking a dump for an hour and 45 minutes. Somebody's going to pay to go see it.
Well, what was that bag of shit he did? That bag of shit he did with the kid.
Last Action Hero.
Yep, and he's walking by a Blockbuster and he sees Stallone as the Terminator. He started laughing. I'm like, all right,
it was Stallone in like Cobra or something like that in a movie. Yeah, it was.
But yeah,
Chaka, worst Arnold movie has got to be Junior, the one where he gets pregnant. That is absolute truth right there. That movie was terrible. Yeah. But Schwarzenegger sells tickets, man.
Exactly.
Why Jingle All the Way broke Blockbuster fucking box office records and whenever the fuck they made that. It's horrible.
Dude, that was a great Christmas movie. Great Christmas.
No, it wasn't. Come
Great.
on.
It was great.
I have to
Long
get a
Kiss
Turbo
Goodnight.
Man.
I have to be
Long
an
Kiss
adult.
Goodnight and Die Hard. 2 best Christmas movies.
We got our Turbo Man weeks ago. I have to find the Turbo Man.
Right. I have to find the Turbo Man.
Yeah, that's the
You
one.
know who
coming
made
up.
that film? 2 people made that film. Phil Hartman and Sinbad.
Yeah, I'll
At
agree with
least
that.
Jingle All the Way had Sinbad. There you go, Chaka. You
Yeah,
lockstep,
you're
brother,
with us.
lockstep.
You're right with us.
Now go out and get you a Turbo Man because we have to go.
Oh, Jesus.
Get to the chopper.
So
You know what makes his
so-
film so good? The fact that his English is the way it is. That's what makes his films funny. Today we are going to play a wonderful game. It is called Who is My Daddy and What
Daddy,
Does He
and
Do?
what does he do?
What does he do?
What does
Dude,
he
the
do?
whole State Farm.
The new
The whole
commercial.
State Farm, like a good
Neighbor.
neighbor.
That's what I said.
State Farm
Neighbor.
is there. I don't know. It's neighbor.
Neighbor.
That's what I said.
That's
They
Neighbor.
what
said
Neighbor.
neighbor.
Right, neighbor. I don't just get me out of the chopper. Yeah, those commercials are fucking beautiful. Because this
like
is
that-
how I talk. What do you
I
mean?
like
I'm
that he's able to-
speaking. I'm speaking flagrant English.
I like that he's able to poke fun at himself. I
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
Did you guys watch the Netflix documentary series about him?
Yes, it was fantastic.
It was really good, and the one about Stallone is pretty good too.
Yep, that one too. I am going to make a request though of Chaka Khan here, man. If you like what we're doing, tell your friends. Tell them to hit the subscribe button. Tell them to be here on Tuesday
Come
nights
in
at
live.
6 p.m. Eastern. Or if you can't watch it live,
Yeah.
go back tomorrow and watch it and let us know what you thought. But get your friends involved. The comment section is always open. We are honored to have people talk to us while we are doing our thing. And I'm going to tell you this right
Grow
now.
this audience, people.
Right? Peach tea, ginger ale, and Coca-Cola have me feeling at least 25% better right now.
Okay. All right.
There's about
Plus I
2%
got-
show in there too.
Yeah. Maybe two, because it got my wheels rolling, man. I got the
Yeah, you're a little bit more energetic. You got a little
You know when
more,
it started?
piss in
When
your
you
vinegar.
shit on Cheers. That's when it started. You were just like, yeah, Cheers is overrated. How about I burn your house down with you inside of it?
For real.
Cool. I can get some people in here. We stream
Gotta make a
every
new
Friday. I'll let
version
them
of
know.
the
Hey,
Burning
Chaka, leave us a link to your stuff on our Facebook page. We'll follow.
Yeah,
you
we'll go
back,
check
man.
you.
This is
We'll
what
check
we're
it
all-
out.
Yeah, we'll follow you. I'm a YouTube fucking addict, so I spend most of my time going down rabbit holes on YouTube. So
He's
more than
usually
welcome
high
to
when he does
watch
it.
your channel.
So
Yeah, well,
he'll watch your
working my
stuff
way there
right
now.
Yep.
Working
I
my
was
way
gonna
there
say
right now.
he'll watch your stuff right before he dives into the butt stuff.
That's later in the night.
All right. Well, in the name of the great Eric Carr, cue those drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see.
Let's see if I can hear him this time.
Right.
Probably not.
7,000 subs. We'll send some over here. Don't forget tomorrow night, the Speedway review, all things NASCAR. We are talking Darlington. The regular season is over for the Cup guys, and the Xfinity guys have 3 more weeks before they get to the playoffs. We'll talk all about it. Plus, yes, I will be burning down the house tomorrow. Don't you dare miss it. For Herm, for Lynch, for me, and for Chaka Khan, we bid you good night.
Good night.
I can hear it.
Judgment falls upon you at first light. I'm the hand of God. I'm the darkness Zion. I'm the vengeful blood. In the blackest moment of a dying world, when a new
Boys have a penis. Girls have a vagina. Thanks for the tip.